Hey, I'm Owen and I'm here to talk to you about nuclear energy. What is nuclear energy?
Nuclear energy is the energy released during nuclear fission or fusion, especially when used to generate electricity. Nuclear energy is stored in nuclear power plants, which are built around the world. Statistics. It is 9% of the U.S. energy. The U.S. nuclear energy consumption is 189.9 metric tons. There are 99 operable power plants in the U.S. There are 13 power plants that are for New York. Pros and cons. Pros. Low pollution. The Clean Air Act of 1970 established limits on the emission of nitrogen oxides, NOx, a compound of ground-level ozone and smog, sulfur dioxide, which produces acid rain, particulate matter, such as smoke and dust, and mercury. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency developed extensive regulations to reduce nitrogen oxides through creation of the Ozone Transport Commission and the NOx Budget Program, both initiatives created under the Clean Air Act amendments of 1990 to help reduce ground-level ozone in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states. Nuclear power plants do not produce these criteria pollutants. Low operation costs. Nuclear power produces very inexpensive electricity. The cost of the uranium, which is utilized in the fuel as a process, is low. Although the expense of setting up nuclear power plants is moderately high, the expense of running them is quite low. The normal life of a nuclear reactor is anywhere from 40 to 60 years, depending on how often it is used and how it is being used. These variables, when consolidated, make the expense of delivering power low. Even if the cost of uranium goes up, the impact on the cost of the power be that much lower. Baseload energy. Nuclear power plants provide a stable baseload of energy. This can work together with renewable energy sources such as wind and solar. The electricity production from the plants can be lowered when good wind and solar resources are available and cranked up when the demand is high. Cons. Accidents. The radioactive waste produced can pose serious health effects on the lives of people as well as the environment. The Chernobyl accident that occurred on April 26, 1986 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine was the worst nuclear accident in history. Its harmful effects on humans and ecology can still be seen today. Then there was another accident that happened in Fukushima in Japan. The casualties were not that high, but it caused serious environmental concerns. Radioactive waste disposal. As a rule, a nuclear power plant creates 20 metric tons of nuclear fuel per year, and that comes with a lot of nuclear waste. When you consider each nuclear power plant on Earth, you will find that the number jumps to approximately 2,000 metric tons a year. The greater part of this waste transmits radiation and high temperature, implying that it will inevitably consume any compartment that holds it. It can also cause damage to living things in and around the plants. Environmental impact. One of the biggest issues is the environmental impact in relation to uranium. The process of mining and refining uranium hasn't been a clean process. Actually transporting nuclear fuel from plants represents a pollution hazard. Also, once the fuel is used, you can't simply take it to the landfill. It's radioactive and dangerous. My opinion. In my opinion, I am in favor of nuclear power plants being built. Although you don't want too many nuclear power plants, you want enough to have lasting electricity. Nuclear power plants are mostly safe. Only one accident has happened recently, and that was 5 years ago. Also, fossil fuels put extreme amounts of dangerous stuff into the world, unlike nuclear power. In fact, fossil fuels created global warming. Not to mention, nuclear power is a very close debate. 51% of people, along with me, are in favor of building more nuclear power plants. This is compared to 70% of scientists. Possible solutions to nuclear energy. One thought of a solution is cold fusion. Cold fusion is when you fuse two atoms together at room temperature instead of the normal fusion, which would take millions of degrees of temperature, more than 1 million degrees Celsius, 180 million degrees Fahrenheit. However, cold fusion is not possible on Earth yet. If it can become possible, it will solve lots of waste problems that power plants create. Another solution is storing the waste accordingly instead of randomly. Low-level waste should be stored outside until it can be disposed as normal garbage. Intermediate-level waste should be stored in light containers to protect people who work nearby. High-level waste should be stored at cooling pools in the power plant and then should get moved into thick containers to contain the radioactivity 5 to 10 years later when the waste has cooled down. Conclusion. In conclusion, nuclear power has some argumentative parts to it, like all the dangerous and wasteful parts to it, along with the safe and benefiting parts. However, in the end for me, the benefits overcame the losses and I went with the safe side. However, some of you out there may agree with the side how nuclear power could be dangerous. Will nuclear power be the next stage? Will it sink to the ground? That we can all save for later and find out ourselves. Here is a bibliography.